Today we're looking at lesson 4.3, which is writing equations in point-slope form. So far we've had point-slope form, which is today. We've had slope-intercept form, which was the previous two lessons, and then we've had standard form in the last chapter or two. So we have three different forms, actually four, direct variation form. So we're just going to be focusing on point-slope form for this lesson. This would be an example of what you would do to set up point-slope form. So in this case, this y is going to stay as y, and then you're going to plug in for y sub 1, you're going to plug in a y coordinate because you're going to be given an ordered pair. So the y coordinate of the ordered pair will go in for y sub 1. And then for m, which is per usual, you're going to plug in the slope. Then you have an x in parentheses, and x is going to stay as x. And then you have x sub 1, which in this case is going to be the x coordinate of the point, hence point slope form. You're going to have one ordered pair or point and the slope. So it asks us to write an equation in point-slope form for the line that passes through negative 2, 1, so there's our point, with a slope of negative 6. And then we're going to graph the equation. So first we need to write the equation. So if I keep it in point-slope form, this is my setup. And my point was negative 2, 1, and my slope was negative 6. So slope represents m. That's going to go in for m. And then, like I was explaining before, the y coordinate is going to go in for y sub 1. Right here, and the x coordinate of my point is going to go in for x sub 1, and the rest will remain the same. So I have y minus 1, then I have negative 6 is already in for m, and x minus negative 2, which actually is going to end up being plus 2. So my final answer in point slope form is going to look like this. Now I'm asked to graph it. Whoops. So I'm going to graph y minus 1 equals negative 6x plus 2. Really, you just need to focus on the point that they gave you, and that is going to be your starting point. Usually, remember, with slope-intercept form, the starting point was at the y-intercept. In this case, if you have point-slope form, the starting point is the point they give you. And you're still going to continue with either form with the slope. So we're going to graph our equation. So the point is negative 2, 1. That's where I'm going to start the graph. I'm just setting up my graph now. So my first point is at negative 2, 1, which is right there. And then I'm going to continue with my slope, which is negative 6 over 1, which tells me to go down 6 over to the right 1. So it's going to be right there. And then since I don't have any more room, and I have 2 points, that is enough to be my graph. So I draw a line through it. Here we're asked to write this, which is point-slope form, in standard form. So standard form, basically, remember, is the x values and y values all on one side, equaling the constants, or the number values. So we need to remove, or basically simplify this first. So we're going to simplify by distributing the 7 . Then I'm going to combine like terms, so continue to simplify. And I get this as my answer. Notice this is its slope-intercept form. So then from here, if you want to make it in standard form, which is what it ultimately asks for, I need to just move the x value over to be with the y. And I subtract it since it's positive. So I have y minus 7x, or negative 7x plus y, equals 36. And this would be my standard form. Here we're asked to write this in slope-intercept form. Again, if we're asked to change from one form to another, you want to focus on simplifying. So I'm going to simplify this first by distributing. Then I need to combine like terms. And then notice that once I've simplified and combined like terms, I don't need to do anything else because it's already in slope-intercept form, which is what they want our final answer to be in. Here, we're asked to write an equation in point-slope form of the line containing side ST. So I've given you all the ordered pairs of all these letters. We need to focus on ST. So S and T are 4, 8, and 7, 5. That's S, and then T is 7, 5. Now I need to write a line, an equation, in point-slope form. So we need to find the slope, and then we can pick a point and use either point for point-slope form. But the first thing we need to do is find the slope. So we have 8 minus 5, subtract the y's over the x's, and I get 3 over negative 3, which simplifies to negative 1. So my slope is negative 1. If I'm using point-slope form, that's going to go in for M. And then I'm going to pick a point. Let's say I pick 4, 8, and I'm going to plug in the 8 for y, 1, which is your y coordinate. The slope is negative 1, so that goes for M. And then the x coordinate is going in for x sub 1, which is 4. So this would be my final answer. And then I also need to write this equation in standard form. So I have y minus 8 equals negative 1 times x minus 4. We're just going to simplify this. So we simplify by distributing first. And then combining like terms. And remember, that gets us to slope-intercept form, but they want it to be standard form, so I just need to move the x value to be with the y. So you have x plus y equals 12. And that would be my final answer. And that concludes lesson 4.3.